Welcome back to FOXSOUL's Black Report Inaugural Special. I am Claudia Jordan, joining the rest of this wonderful cast. So let's get into Black women running for office. And a lot of, there was a lot of history this past election. Cori Bush with Black Lives Matter, winning a seat. That was amazing. Trayvon Martin's mom. There's just been lots of this. And I just hope more are inspired the next, moving forward. We need it.
I like how in that clip that we just showed, Ayanna Pressley was just like, we do it because we're damn good. And I like that. That was like my favorite part of the entire piece is kind of like, as Black women, we have it harder than anyone else in any field, honestly. Like we're talking about, of course, politics, but in any field, Black women, we have it harder. And so I just like that. I might put that on my little, affirmation is I do it because I'm damn good. I like that.
Okay, and she said, they said I have a sense of entitlement. And they kind of like went down the list and
all
that
the
is
things
something
that they've had to say,
right,
that
is
accused of.
Just like Demi said, in all industries, those are things that are said about Black women.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was struck by watching that video and just how incredibly beautiful the mosaic of these Black women were, all complexion colors, but all saying the exact same thing. When Ayanna Pressley was talking about identity politics, and the thought that popped into my head was cognitive distortion and how used to something we can get and that prevents us from accepting change that would probably be what we need, almost like drinking cough medicine. It tastes horrible, but it makes us better type thing. And I can't help but think just how incredibly brave these women were to run for office for the first time, and without the understanding as to how politics actually work, the political machine. They were talking about fundraising and how difficult it is for people who are running first time in office to, get the funds and, and the support in order to do so. But these women are a prime example of walking the walk and talking the talk, being the change that they want to see.
The system is not built for us. They not only have to have the money to run, but then you've got to be able to take off your day job, have somebody watch your kids so you can actually physically campaign.
Yeah. And the reality of this, sorry, Demi, the reality of the situation is that is the average American. Living paycheck to paycheck, needing the job, trying to figure out how to, find child care in order to, invest in the things that they actually want to do, the things that they're impassioned by. And that in essence makes them the perfect type of candidate for the people.
No, I wanted to say here that we really saw Black girl magic in Stacey Abrams. Like, she inspired, so I feel like she inspired a new generation, honestly, of Black women that want to get into politics. She put all her soul, blood, sweat, and tears into Georgia, into the election overall, and getting Black people motivated and inspired to vote. Like, she was the queen of the election. We can just say that she reigned supreme. And I'm just so happy that she put that, because I don't know, have you guys seen anyone else? Like another Black woman?
Well, yeah, every time she's mentioned, she starts going down the laundry list of other Black women. Like, she makes it very clear. And it reminded me of, we were talking about Claudia and how supportive you are to all of us. And that is what Stacey Abrams does to other women in her field. Every time she's cheered on, the first thing out of her mouth is that I don't do this alone.
Oh my God.
And she starts naming people by name.
I love. So can I say I'm the Stacey Abrams of FOXSOUL?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yes, come on.
I would never. So,
you get that right,
years ago,
you can.
A couple years ago, I went down to Georgia when she was campaigning, and I got to meet her, and she was at a small event, and the energy around her was just next level. I go, I want to be a part of this in some way. And let me tell you something. She is owed that governor's seat in Georgia. And I think she's going to do it. If she chooses to run again, I think that is hers for the taking. She's the hero of this election.
Absolutely.
Not only Georgia, but of this entire election. And the world, actually, she may have saved the day. I mean, the momentum that she helped generate, and the way she didn't just, lick her wounds and just go back to her corner and be bitter. She's like, okay, there's a meme about her saying, if I bet was a person, it's Stacey Abrams. and she absolutely is. She's like, okay, I got y'all.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want to just add to this. On top of all the, the uphill battle for anyone running for office, especially anyone that's Black, when you're a woman, you got that added extra criticism that if you're assertive, you're a bitch. And the way they villainize Hillary Clinton is what they do to Black women. They just do it to women, period. The way they do that to women and being Black on top of that. So to overcome all of that is quite a feat.
But Claudia, that's a great point. I think we might be talking about, I don't know if I saw it on the script, that we might be talking about Vogue a little bit later in the script, but that's why I was so upset when the Vogue editor, when she said it shows Kamala Harris's approachable nature. That word approachable is very triggering for me as a Black woman, because I feel like, they say like the resting, bee face, like even if we're just like not saying anything, it's like, well, what's going on? Like, are you okay? And it's just kind of like, no, I'm just being me. Like, I don't like that. I don't like the word approachable. Just makes me, it's just very triggering for me, because it's just kind of like we're looked at as if we're bees and if we're aggressive and as we're always angry. And it's just kind of like, no, I'm just assertive and I'm confident and I come in and I own the room. And if, you can't handle that, that's your problem, not mine.
You are like one of the nicest people that I've ever met in the world, and like super approachable. And I can imagine that you have heard every single one of those things.
Me or Claudia?
Well, all of you. But I'm talking to you right now, Demi.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
And just the fact that I know you've heard that you're angry or you're aggressive or unapproachable, and it's a farce, but it is so. Yeah. I'm glad
that's
that we're having. It is triggering. I'm glad that we're having this conversation. One of my best friends, Jessica, she's got a little girl, Emily, and they're watching right now, and I just love the fact that a little girl growing up is able to see not only a Black woman become vice president, but 4 Black women, 4 strong Black women, 4 approachable Black women, normal Black women living, our normal lives, normalizing Black womanism.
Yes.
And talking about the things that, hopefully she has to go through less.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to shout out a couple of our YouTube soulmates. The chat, Brooke, you're the chat, commenting. You can tell the chat. We reached one moment where I was a little nervous because
what happened?
It was like I don't know. It was a lot going on in the chat. Okay.
Really?
It was a lot. It's a lot going on in the chat, but good stuff. Good stuff.
Man.
Okay, now Brooklyn Nikki says, a VP looks beautiful and the energy does seem excellent. RJ Black says, shout out to the beautiful Black women giving us this Black Report news. Kim Johnson, our 5th soulmate, she also added, the panel looks so beautiful. And then also another one of our YouTube soulmates says that they don't mind the slogan, America United, because that's where we're aiming to get. They said that his presidency is aiming to unify. And then I just wanted to add one more, that today is a day that we recognize our perseverance. We've been through a lot all year during this pandemic. So a couple of our comments from our soulmates, but you guys keep on commenting because, of course, as I always remind you, we're live and your comment might make it to the TV screen.
And keep on watching because FOXSOUL's Black Report is live every day at 4 p.m.
Yes.
West Coast, Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. If you live on the East Coast, we are live right on this channel, wherever you're watching right now. That's where you can watch us every day. We're going to continue to be live.
And tonight.
Today, exactly. So keep watching. If there's new soulmates who are here for the inauguration special, stay here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And shout out to all the soulmates that made FOXSOUL grow, 4,000% in a year. So kudos to y'all for supporting the network. We really appreciate all the soulmates that support us.
Honestly, our soulmates, sometimes our soulmates guide our conversation. Like yesterday we were talking about Hot Pockets and, things like that. And the comments kind of like, helped guide our conversation. So you guys, the soulmates, just really big shout out to you guys because you guys actually sometimes, a lot of the times actually help our show, be even more funny and entertaining. So we couldn't do the show without you. So shout out to the soulmates.
Yeah, I want to go back and bring the conversation back to, Black women and the role that we played in, winning this election for Biden and Harris. And I want to, discuss with you guys what led to the Trump presidency, and 2 words that come to mind are apathy and ignorance. I think that a lot of people thought that their civic duty ended at voting, and if that. And I think that the reality of the situation is that Trump was a foregone conclusion, and I really wanted to ask you this, Claudia, because you had, person-to-person interactions with him being on The Apprentice and, and also being in the pageant world and such, living in New York, we knew the danger that man was. Everybody in New York was like, how did this hack con his way into top office? And we knew the danger that he really represented, but nobody wanted to acknowledge it. Where do you guys think that we are from that standpoint? Because if we don't continue to be this engaged as we have been these last few years as it related to this election, we are in danger of coming up against another Trump, except this one will be smarter. This one will not need the praise heaped on him in order for him to function. He will be a Hawley or name somebody else for me, Claudia.
Ted Cruz.
There we go. And was Ted Cruz at this inauguration? How was he even
there?
allowed to be there?
What? I cannot stand him. I cannot wait as a Texan to vote him out of office. I cannot stand him. I will say this about our country. I think we worked really hard to get away from racism being so much in your face, and then kind of took a back seat, right? It wasn't so blatant. And then Sarah Palin came along and she made it kind of mainstream again, brought it back around and empowered the racists and kind of set up Donald Trump for this win. I feel like, Donald Trump tried to run for president before, but it was laughed at. It was looked at as a joke. But Sarah Palin did a lot of damage in setting him up and getting that segment of the population kind of like foaming at the mouth. And then when he came along the next time, it wasn't as ridiculous, because as a former friend of his, listen, there was a time when I would go to his office and there would be young Black production crews that were there, and he would be open to sitting down and being interviewed by them. He loved being part of the celebrity world, and he had a lot of Black friends. I hate to say that, but he did. And there was a time that I really thought he wanted the best for me if you're in his circle. But there's something that happened. There was a change, there was a shift, and his ego superseded all those ties to Black people, all his favor or friendships or any of his common sense went out the window when his ego could be praised by this segment of the population. Let me tell you, as a former friend of his, he does not like the type of supporters he has. That is not his wheelhouse. He would much rather prefer to be rubbing elbows with the elite, the Black celebrities and celebrity. He loves that.
That's man that created.
He loves that. He does not like those supporters. That is embarrassing. Those are not people that he wants to be on his side. That's who he had to take. And he found with them, he could easily lead them like the Pied Piper leading a group of rabid rats. And that's what he did. And he went with it. It worked. And we found out we had more of those people in America than I thought I never imagined we had this many people here that still thought like that.
That's a great story. Hates it. You're right. He still hates it. Those were the reports during the riot, that he was disgusted by how classless his supporters looked. And I was like, oh God, look, I don't even, what's happening? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and all of them are still waiting for pardons that they never got, which is hysterical to me.
Because he wanted to save himself. Yeah. Because he was advised, if you give these people pardons, it's going to look like, you're on the team with them, so let them go.
I really honestly thought that the last thing that he did, like literally before he waved off and got on the helicopter, was giving himself and his family pardons. I really thought that he was going to do that, because it's not like he makes the most intelligent, well thought out moves. He is very erratic. He is very he's infantile. Yeah, he's like an insolent child. Spontaneous, that's a too good of a word. Okay. He's like an insolent 4-year-old. You know what I mean? Yeah, unhinged.
He's a dumbass. He's a dumbass.
It's like, no, break it down even more.
Yeah, these are perfect descriptive words for him. But I really honestly thought that he was going to give himself and his entire family pardons. Even though every aide said, please don't do that. It will make you look guilty.
Melissa, to answer your question,
the fact that he gave Lil Wayne and Kodak Black pardons before Ivanka and Jared is hilarious.
But Claudia, that kind of ties into what you were saying about him wanting to be more so on the side of like having Black friends and stuff like that. So him pardoning, Kodak Black and Lil Wayne actually makes sense. But Melissa, to answer your question, if I can just like be so brutally honest, I feel like we went super hard for Barack Obama. I'll speak from my personal experience. We went super hard for Barack Obama first term. Like, we wanted to have a Black person in office. This was important for us. Second term, we did the same thing. I am going to be brutally honest with you. Yes, I voted for Hillary Clinton, but at the same time, I feel like we did not take it serious. And Melissa, this is such a great question for you to ask and tell us that we need to be, diligent about, going forward. But like, I didn't really take it serious because I didn't think that people would actually vote for Trump. I think there's so many people in the world, for some reason, like you guys lived in New York, so maybe you have a different experience, but I saw him as a reality TV star, but I didn't really, I was like, there's absolutely no way. And I think so many people around me, as well as my friends, just didn't take it serious at all.
Well, the reality of the situation, Demi, is that, he gained traction because of Roger Ailes and Fox News and also Steve Bannon. So people may not, they may have discounted him, but, he had forces that knew they needed him in the presidency in order to do their bidding for them. You know, what we're going to do is we're going to switch gears. And joining us now to discuss Vice President Kamala Harris's leadership style is her former state rep. Former state director, Heather Hunt. Heather Hutt, I should say. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Happy Inauguration Day.
Happy Inauguration Day. We can barely contain our excitement here over at FOXSOUL, the Black Report. We're this Black girl magic, and
yes.
we're just relishing in this moment. So I wanted to jump right into the conversation. How long did you work for then Senator Harris, now Vice President Harris?
Sure. So I started with her in February 2017. So I've been with her for all 4 years at her Senate post. And it has been exciting and more than an honor to be her state director.
Okay, so speaking of being a state director, what exactly does it mean? And maybe you can explain that for our soulmates, to be a state director for a senator. What does that entail?
So I'm going to start with a little history. I'm the first Black state director from California. Okay. So that is a mind blower, you know, when we think about how progressive California is, and a woman. So that's an odd, you know, thing to kind of deal with it. And Senator Harris lifted me up. And we had another state director. When she decided to run for president, she chose me. So that's amazing. Also, my job is to be in charge of really 5 offices. So we have 5 offices in each region in California, about 27 employees. And then I'm the conduit between what our issues are in California and the Senate. And so, you know, when our wildfires were 4 million acres at one time, I'm the one who was boots on the ground. I'm the one boots on the ground as coronavirus grew here in California. When the first repatriated flight came in, I'm the one on the phone with CDC and March Air Force Base to understand what the process would be for these folks coming into California and who is diseased and how they're protecting Californians. So I'm the conduit. I'm the one that has the back and forth with mayors, the governor, supervisors, and stakeholders.
That is a fantastic word for you, conduit. You've been in this game for a really long time. Switching back to talk about Kamala Harris, we have gotten to know her, so to speak, while she has been, you know, during this whole election cycle. And you know, she seems to be more than capable. She's constantly smiling. She seems to be a really wonderful person. From insiders, I hear that she's a very sensitive, very kind person. What was it like working for her? You know, besides her leadership style, what is she like as like a human being? Because a lot of people wanted to villainize her. So maybe you can humanize her for us.
She was a super sensitive person to work for. I can give you a couple of personal things. I had a big birthday while I worked for her, you know, and I'm at work. And we are doing an event together in Sacramento. And then all of a sudden she's like, it's your birthday? Like, you're here working like this? Like, she cares about things like that. You know, she'll send a personal note. I was actually dating a guy that passed away of cancer, and she stopped in the middle of her day, and it was while Senate was in session, to call and say, wait a minute, I just heard about this. You know, just think of the happy things and remember your relationship. Like, she is a thoughtful person. And when she laughs, the laugh is real. And when she's sad, that's real too. So she's very human. When she meets children, they're especially important to her. She knows that's the future. And she tries to just pour something into them about their value and their worth, especially little Black kids. I have just seen her really like take a moment to tell them how great they are and how wonderful.
That's a great.
Yeah, she's human.
That was a great question.
It's been beautiful to see those powerful images of Kamala doing that, because it's so meaningful, it's so powerful, and it's so inspirational.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you to talk about the significance of this moment with Kamala Harris, you know, swearing in as the Vice President of the United States of America.
So I know I'm young, I'm older than you ladies. So I would just want to bring to mind that when I was born, there was no Voting Rights Act. right? It wasn't in place. And so the vote of the people and the vote of our people made this difference. So to me, it is exceptional because the founders didn't have us in mind. They didn't want us to participate. And it wasn't until the 60s that we had an opportunity to have our voices heard. And when we collectively got together, our voices said Kamala Harris. It's really super significant as a woman and as a Black woman to me to see these, like King Week. It's his dream real life. Her content of her character is what took her to this place. And we know that she'll do an amazing job. She demands excellence. And I could be honest with you, I fired myself about 10 times in the first month. I don't know if I can get this done. And it was only with her encouragement that it was like, yes, we're doing a great job. Like I don't know if she knew I was tripping, but she was like, we're doing a great job. And so I feel like this is significant for somebody old like me, somebody young like you all, and then even generations behind us and our children and our grandchildren. You know, I think our goal is to get to 100. And this is another step. Barack Obama was a giant step, and this is another giant step to get to that space.
I like how you said that you fired yourself, so many times. Can you actually tell us your most memorable working experience with our now Vice President Kamala Harris?
Ooh, I have a lot, but I have two, if I could share two.
Oh, yes, please.
One is she was the Grand Marshal of the MLK parade in 2018. And that was a really memorable experience. And so with her being that, she, well, I had the bright idea. Hey, boss, how about if we have your coalition? Because we dealt with stakeholders on so many issues, especially through this administration where everybody of color is demonized. So how about if we get them to participate with you? And she said, yes. And then we reached out to different people, AKA the Links, United Farm Workers, Korean Resource Center, DACA students, all those people to march with us. And so, yeah, we're ready to go. And the people that are running the march are like, okay, Senator, let's get in play, let's walk. And they're marching her, and her coalition is behind, and the security's not letting her through. And she's like, wait a minute, they're not letting my coalition through. It's like, hey, my little brother didn't make it. And so, my job, hey, where's everybody? So she's really thoughtful. She wanted everybody, like, we're a group, we're a family, we're together, we're a team, let's go. And they were leaving that out. So she wasn't having it. And that was really fun. And then more seriously, before the pandemic started, we did an economic justice roundtable in Watts at WLCAC, which is run by Tim Watkins. And we had stakeholders in the area talk about, what job loss looked like, what business decrease looked like, what gentrification looked like in that space, so she could understand how federally we could support something in that area. And it was so good. It really was good. And at the end, it's professional. We're professional. And she gets in the car and I was like, boss, can I have a hug? Because it was just like so good. She was like, yeah, let's hug. So, she's like real personable like that. And those are my two great stories.
Oh, I love that. Can you talk to us about the vice president's leadership style?
Yeah, sure. She's inclusive. Like, she includes the folks that have expertise in that space, and she respects their opinion. I'll give you an example. When I first started working there, this was a foreign concept to me. If you wrote a memo about something, she wanted your recommendation on what should happen in this space, since she did the research and you were the conduit. And I was like, what? Like, who cares what I think? But she did care. And she's a coalition builder, and she wants a recommendation from everybody who's participating in that space. And so it builds a cohesive working environment when your opinion is respected. And I think that everyone should work that way, because respect is why you're there, right? You feel like you have to offer, and then when it's respected by your boss, it makes all the difference in the world.
I agree.
Ms. Hutt, we hear that you are now running for office. What seat are you running for, and why did you decide to run?
Honestly, my intention was to go to HUD. I thought I could help urban communities the most in promise zones and opportunity zones. And so I was headed there. I did all the paperwork, everything. I was on my way. And the neighbors, the community, the stakeholders came to me and said there's going to be an open seat because of a special election here in California, and we would like you to run for that. And I was like, what? I'm going to HUD. You know, I was looking on Zillow for apartments. I was going to HUD. And so my aunt held this seat many years ago, and she held it for 16 years. And before November, she said to my sister and I, hey, kiddo, I wish one of you guys would take my seat. It would be a legacy. And we're like, what seat? There's no seat. And then she said, if Holly Mitchell wins and goes to a supervisor, then Sydney Kamala will go to state senate. Her seat will be open. So I thought about it. I talked to my chief of staff, and I was like, where am I in the placement? She's like, you're in the next go round. Why? And I told her community is coming at me, and I need to know what to do. And she said, well, if the community wants you to represent them, you should expand your leadership in your core, which is California. And so I talked with my family, and I have 3 sons, 3 Black, beautiful sons, and they all agreed that this is what I should do. So Sydney has to win first. So, vote for Sydney Kamala. Then once she does, then I'll go for it, and it'll be a special.
Okay, well, we are rooting for both of you, and we are so excited for you. So we will watch with bated breath, and we're crossing our fingers. Thank you so much for joining us today, Heather. And we will have you back on FOXSOUL's The Black Report.
Yes, we will.
Thank you, Black Girls Magic. Thank you for representing, and thank you for doing the show. Absolutely. We appreciate it so much and enjoy it. I hope y'all have your pearls on today. Yeah.
Me and Melissa are ready to show them. So now, actually, Ms. Hutt, absolutely an honor to have you. And while we're on the topic of talking about Black women running for office, there's a video that I want you guys to see from the women of Higher Heights. Let's take a look.
From many big-name politicians or celebrities or any other kind of prop, I do not intend to offer to you the tired and glib cliches which for too long have been an accepted part of our political life. I am the candidate of the people of America.
The vision of Higher Heights is truly part of what should be the vision of who we are and can be as a country. It is an organization that is giving encouragement, giving support, giving a welcome, a big welcome to Black women to be actively involved, knowing that when you take the first step, Higher Heights will be there to stand with you each step along the way.
I had no political network. I had never run for office. I had no money and really had a lot of questions. Higher Heights was just the organization I was looking for.
Literally, how do you run for Congress? It's something that has not been taught, but there definitely is a strategy. There's a pathway that is clearly laid out if you're privy to that information.
It's so difficult for new candidates to raise the money and to get the support that they need to run for office because today's candidate doesn't look like yesterday's candidate.
There were 2 organizations that stood with me immediately. Higher Heights has been with me as I've been on this journey.
They didn't wait. Higher Heights did not wait until it was popular to support me. They, very early on, we need to support you now, and we need to help you be better and help you stand tall and give you the resources and the information that you need in order to make this happen.
Black women lead isn't just a hashtag, it's a truth.
Right.
And it's a truth that sometimes even our allies forget.
Let's just be honest. So many times we are not asked to run. We are not invited to these tables.
For a long time, black women have been leading from the back, and for the first time, we're seeing them shining in the political arena.
We are candidates who have offered messages that are deeply resonant, stories that are transcendent and that people relate to and connect to and with and about.
We need people in our state legislatures and in Washington that have lived the very experiences that people are crying about and suffering under in their own communities.
I get really annoyed when people talk about empowerment because we are already internally empowered. We just need people to step out of the way so that we can step into our power.
We are not a fad. We are here to stay, and we are here to say, not because we're trendy, but because we're damn good.
So many times in my life and in my career, I've been told that it can't be done, that nobody like me has done it before.
They accused me of operating with a sense of entitlement.
That people aren't ready.
People told me when I first entered this race, your community doesn't vote anyway.
They said that this was all about identity politics.
Or they say, well, wait your turn, and I just don't listen.
Don't ever let anybody tell you what you can't do.
And that's what makes groups like Higher Heights so special. This network of black women around the country, pooling together resources to uplift our own and send more black women to Congress. It's so powerful.
Because their investment, their resourcing, their amplifying, their platforms, their Twitter town halls, all of these things that they do get us one step closer to being the beneficiaries of that change that is afoot and being leaders in that change.
Representation matters, and Higher Heights for America lifts up our voices, spotlights our candidacies, and helps us raise these critical resources so that we can win.
It's great.
I love that video.
Me too.
I could just watch it over and over. So good.
That's what we need. We need more black women running for office. We talked about that on the Black Report, on, FOXSOUL's Black Report, I think just yesterday, about how that's when we've seen real change. We've seen real change when we jump into politics, and it takes a lot. You know, we also talked about that, how we don't live the lives where you can just easily decide, you know what, I want to do this. You have day jobs, you have children, you have, a life. You don't have the finances behind you, but that's when we start to see real change. Look at what, Cori Bush has done. She's been a congresswoman 2 days?
Maybe 3.
And the pushback she got by some of the members of Congress when she was proudly celebrating and speaking on Black Lives Matter. Some congressmen, some ignorant ones were booing her. And then you have people like Kelly Loeffler, who just married a rich guy and pretty much bought a seat. And it's amazing, like the mountain that we have to climb, and the standard of excellence that we have to be. Like, there's no room for any mistakes or any imperfections when it comes to Black women. We are already vetted way harder than any of them.
Way harder. It was during the election certification, right? When she brought up white supremacy. Cori Bush, Republican members of Congress booed her. And then a little while later, a white congresswoman brought up white supremacy and was not booed. So it wasn't even the subject. It was just a black woman saying it.
I really enjoyed Cori Bush's Twitter, because after that moment, she went to Twitter and was like, what does it mean when you get booed? Like, I like how she, even though it was like a moment that most people would be like, girl, you just got booed. Like, she still makes light of it, still graceful, still moving, pressing along, right forward. Like, her Twitter is actually quite comical and very serious at the same time. But like, I read that tweet and she was like, what does it mean after you just get booed by, everybody in the congregation, not the congregation, but.
It means that she was perceived as a threat. Yeah. So
white people are so bold now with their white supremacy. I want to go back to the days, and people say, oh, I like my racism up front. I don't. Go back and hide under your rocks. And
honestly, this is exhausting. I agree.
I don't like this boldness, white supremacist nonsense. So y'all need to go back.
I just want to understand how people can be so emboldened in their, in their racism and misogyny and xenophobia, but also be so fragile at the same time.
Well, because, Melissa, that's a great point, because that showed for everyone that went to the riots. And then you actually showed me the video of the ladies that were had to be dragged out of the airport because they couldn't believe that they were caught they were being arrested and caught on a plane. It's like, you literally got on a plane and flew to another state to commit a crime. And you thought that because it was so many hundreds of thousands of people that no one was going to be able to find you.
No, it's because they were white. That's all that they needed.
Well, how do you commit a crime and then not expect to do the time, as they say?
They never have to. They will do the most. They will rape people behind dumpsters and be like, "Don't do that again if you don't mind." With us, listen. I rented a car in LA and got a couple parking tickets. I was scared to what would happen from that fine. You know what I mean? Like, we can't go 4 miles over the speed limit. We see police officers, we're not even breaking any laws. If they get behind you, the average Black person is terrified when a police car pulls behind you, even if you're doing nothing wrong. These people blatantly do this stuff on camera, broadcast it fearlessly, and then have the audacity to be shocked. That's because they have not seen examples of them being punished for their crimes. So of course they're emboldened. They're like, wait, they've said it on camera. You're treating me like a Black person. You're supposed to treat Black Lives Matter people like this, not us. It's amazing.
You're right. They get absolved of bad behavior, and we see it at the top. We saw Sean Spicer, who was the communications. He was he wasn't the communications director, was he? But for Trump, but he was the one who came out. He was on the podium lying to us. He lied to us blatantly about the crowd at the inauguration, something so stupid, but the disrespect that took. And when he lost his job, he was on Dancing with the Stars after that. And even just lionizing people who have passed away. John McCain did some good things in the end, but he also introduced us to Sarah Palin, which Claudia brought up earlier, and that opened the door for Trump, which is why Trump wasn't so surprising in the end, because their rhetoric was so similar. And John McCain introduced us to her. She would have been his vice president.
Yeah,
Spicer was so ridiculous, but I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, when aren't white men lying about size? I'm just saying.
Oh my goodness.
I really would have loved to have found out, if that was a long-lasting regret of his. If he actually, went on record and actually said that, because his record, military record, his standing within the realm of politics, people across the aisle, they saluted him. They had the utmost respect for him. But that was a major...
It wasn't the only flub either. Remember, he had to apologize for not supporting Martin Luther King Jr. Day. He had to apologize for fighting against that being a national holiday. So he's, I think that part of the reason that people cheer him on is because when you're a rich white man, it only takes a little bit to be absolved of anything, harmful that you've done.
When you're a white man in America, you can be average, even below average in the case of Donald Trump, and you'll still be celebrated. When you are Black, look at the level of perfection that Barack and Michelle Obama had to be. She showed her arms and they acted like she was a whore. Yeah. And Melania has her whole vagina all over Instagram and all over Google, our first lady. And they say she's the classiest first lady because she throws on a Chanel suit. Miss me with the BS, America. Knock it off.
Right. Donald Trump jumped into politics by saying that Barack Obama wasn't American.
Meanwhile, all his clothes are made in China. Donald Trump, your entire line, you got exposed for that. You all talking about this Make America Great. Even those trifling old hard hats, I had one. This Republican gave me one that we threw up the balcony. They're made in China. So stop lying. Yeah. And Ivanka, your trash clothes, made in China. That's why they're at Marshall's and Ross for 99% off. They're $1 now and they're still on the shelves. They can't give it away.
That's interesting. That's interesting that their cult isn't rushing to Marshall's and Ross to snap up her handbags and jewelry and
at a discount,
and whatnot.
Right?
Exactly.
Even at a Chinese sweatshops across the pond.
What do you see as a realistic future for them? Ivanka, Jared, Don Jr. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Don Jr., but Donald Trump.
The fear is that Ivanka is, trying to dip her toe into the political realm and kind of investigating governorship in Florida. And I think, just by all the stuff we see happen in Florida, it's not a far you know, it's not a faraway notion that she could actually kind of attain that position.
Doesn't she have a book as well? Like a book that she's working on? I thought there was a book. I don't know. Maybe I made that up.
She could get elected. I mean, look at the people that they've elected. Doug Jones did not easily win his Senate seat in Alabama, where he went up against a whole child molester. Republican Party has a lot of work to do because their bar is so low. Donald Trump, 3 baby mamas, 3,500 lawsuits, 26 credible cases of assault, accusations of assault against women, sexual assault, and they love him. Their bar is low. So Ivanka can actually form a complete sentence and speaks proper English for the most part. She's like pretty, like she's like kind of like at the top of the list probably. And she's in Florida where, look at the headlines that come out of Florida. Man bites dog. It's all kind of nonsense. If anything, I think she could easily. I mean, she could probably win right now.
Did everybody catch that? Did everybody catch that? The headlines that come out of Florida is man bites dog.
And that was the example as to why she could easily take the win, okay?
Listen,
Florida do better.
Outside of Miami, a lot of parts of Florida is trash. I love the cities.
Tell us how you feel.
The in-between areas, listen, they do all kind of nonsense. I used to do a special, like a little segment on one of my shows about strange news, and I would type in strange or ridiculous news. All the ridiculous stuff came out of Florida, where it's like, this didn't really happen. And we're like, oh, yes, it did in Florida. So, yeah.
I'm tickled by this. Are we going to talk inauguration fashion at any point? I really want to.
I mean, okay, so let's start with our forever first lady. I mean, you know, all credit due to Dr. Biden, but Michelle Obama. Can we just talk about her pantsuit? I had a visceral reaction when she walked out. The burgundy, the belt, the hair, the everything. I mean, I'm obsessed.
There was a joke on Twitter because they compared what she looks like at the last inauguration, at Trump's inauguration, and this one, and how she had her hair parted in the middle and pulled back into a ponytail. And they said that was giving, do I really have to get up for this energy? And today it was curled. And, you know, she was flawless today. Yeah. It was like, no, we took a long time on this.
Michelle Obama didn't even care to do her hair last time because she's like, I'm going right back in the bed after this and curl up and watch TV and just be mad. And then this time she was laid. She looks so bomb and amazing. Like, I already posted her on my Instagram, of course. Yeah. She looks so good. And I hope some of that rubs off onto Joe Biden because Joe Biden looked cute, but Michelle Obama was like she slayed.
Everybody on Twitter is talking about her hair. Like everyone is, you know, back to what you were saying, Brooke, is that they were saying the hot comb was hot. They were like, it was, because I mean, like literally her side part, her leave out, like everything, there's no hair out of place. I mean, she was snatched, the body, like you could tell she's been in the gym.
She stays in the gym.
Listen, let me tell you something, okay? There is 2 first ladies who have defined fashion for the White House, and that is Jackie Kennedy and then Michelle Obama. There's been nobody in between or before. We'll see what happens after. But right now, those two
Barbara Bush didn't do it for you?
Girl, bye.
No. Yeah, I think Barbara Bush always stayed in a kitten heel. It was always a kitten heel.
Kitten heels stress me out, guys.
A kitten heel is appropriate, right?
It's never appropriate.
No, never. A wedge or a kitten heel, never appropriate.
Okay, so there's something taking place right now. The Bidens and the Harrises are... Oh, can I say the Harrises? Whoops.
He's the first gentleman. He gonna take whatever names
are right here.
Yeah, let's check out what's happening right now.
He's Mr. Biden. He's Mr. Harris to me.
All right, so there's no audio there, but we're watching them, we're checking them out. It's perfect because we were just talking about fashion and the second lady's fashion, the vice president's fashion. I think something that Michelle Obama did is paid a lot of attention to low-income designers, lower-income designers. She wore J. Crew a lot, even though J. Crew is not Walmart prices. It is still fairly cheap. It's not high-fashion runway. And I think Kamala Harris is going to show us a lot of high-fashion black designers. Last night, They posted the picture of both the first and second families side by side, holding hands with their partners holding hands in front of the fountain. And Kamala Harris had on a custom Pierre Moss coat. Black high fashion designers. We've come a long way just in these past 4 years when it comes to high fashion runway black designers. And I think we're going to see a lot of that, a lot of attention paid to what black people are doing in fashion when it comes to, I think she's going to be very specific when it comes to what she's wearing and who makes it.
Okay, everyone was talking about the jacket. The coat. Everyone was talking about the coat online last night.
Because it was fierce.
It was fire.
Let's talk about Nancy Pelosi and her blue suede shoes. Yeah,
I like Nancy Pelosi. She is a feisty Italian old lady.
She is.
Remember, she was so petty with that and tearing up the feet. I love her feistiness. I love it. She's my spirit animal with that pettiness.
You guys want to talk about Mitch McConnell's fashion?
Ew.
Who?
Ew.
What does he have on? Did he put on a new show for today?
Don't get me started on all of
do you guys think that one person, one overall fashion coordinator kind of came together and approved all of the outfits?
No.
Okay, so
everybody's got their own.
You don't think so?
No, everybody's got their own teams for sure.
Yeah. Because I just feel like everything kind of just flows or I feel like there was a strict message that you had to have one color. I don't think that was by chance that even up to J-Lo, everyone had just one color palette.
I don't think it was a strict dress code. I think that maybe they collaborated and said we're all gonna be monochromatic today and choose one particular color. But I think that might have just been the girls talking, what we do. You know what I mean?
You think they have a group chat?
It's quite possible.
I would love to be in that.
We're gonna let's. Nancy Pelosi's talking. Let's hear what she's saying.
Hosted this lunch for members of the Senate who have become president and vice president, but I have the privilege of giving the flag to the President of the United States, the flag that was flown when you were sworn in, Mr. President. This flag reflects all that is said about your inauguration. America united. May it be a symbol of the hope, the healing, and the just all of the enthusiasm that you have for our country. And as we heard the beautiful national anthem, when we're at the stadium and they say, is our flag still there? Then you say, play ball, right there. Play ball. So we're going to get ready to play ball. We're ready to go with the inspiration of our flag flying. But again, on behalf of the House of Representatives, it is my privilege to extend to you the flag that was flown the early moment that you were sworn in as President of the United States. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Dr. Biden. Thank you. If we had the lunch, we would have had California wine. Is that not right? Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, congratulations. With liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Nancy Pelosi there, continuing with her job while Mitch McConnell will not be.
How about that? Okay, so listen, I wanted to talk to you guys about this. So Mitch McConnell is now the Senate Minority Leader. Chuck Schumer is taking on as the Senate Majority Leader.
Does that happen yet, or do we have to wait until the election in Georgia is certified?
It's certified today.
It's today.
It was certified today. Yeah, it's
I love that Mitch McConnell is now a minority.
Exactly, but hold on. So let's talk a little bit about how much traction is being gained across the aisle. Some Republicans are now in favor of the impeachment trial and impeaching Trump.
A freshman congressperson was saying that he thinks that he's going to lose his job based on supporting it. He thinks that, it's interesting. And, Donald Trump was kind of going out saying that he wants to split from the Republican Party, say he wants to create his own party, the Patriot Party. And we were talking about Stacey Abrams, and if she ran for governor, we know a lot of Trump supporters are going to be campaigning against Brian Kemp, maybe not necessarily campaigning for Stacey Abrams, but we are seeing some sort of a split, which is going to work in Democrats' favor, right?
I hope they start this stupid Patriot Party. I think we will have Republicans. They'll never be in office ever again because the Democratic Party will just consolidate as long as the moderates and the progressives, we don't split ourselves. But listen, we can run this for a while. And I think it would be in the best interest of all these Republicans that do want to run for president in the future that are not going to win. But if they are on board with this impeachment, they just take him out of play because honestly, there is no one bigger in the Republican Party right now than Donald Trump. And there is a possibility he could come back in 2024 and still win because we still have a lot of crazy people in our country. So it would be in their best interest to vote for, to ban him. And once they impeach him and get that 67 vote in the Senate, we just need a simple majority, 51 votes, to ban him from ever being able to hold office again. So let's get it popping, Republicans. Come on over. We got you back. And please start the Patriot Party. They're going to be a bunch of people that were at the insurrection. That's going to be their party. I cannot wait to see all the typos in their campaign materials. It's going to be amazing.
We've been highlighting some amazing organizations that have been doing amazing work in politics for Black America. Take a look at the Collective PAC.
When we're talking about, I see the signs that say vote to live. We want to live and live good. We voting for life.
As the nation awaits the final results for this year's election, the black vote could help determine who wins the White House. 30 million African Americans were eligible to vote this year, making up more than 12% of the U.S. electorate. More than a third also live in 9 of the country's most competitive states.
African American voters could be the key, especially in swing states.
And every time this country has needed recalibration, Lana, it's been because black voters have stepped up to the plate and did it.
Yeah, among the many states in play tonight are a number of them here in the U.S. South, with a focus on that always important African-American vote.
You may have gone to bed thinking this election was headed one way, and then you woke up and you saw things were different and maybe trending increasingly in another direction.
Even on the largest scheme of things, we're 13% of the nation. Those individuals that may be running for office, 13% is enough to sway a vote, to sway an election in one way or the other.
And the country owes black people so much to get us here, because if it wasn't for black voters in Wisconsin, Georgia, and Michigan, and Pennsylvania, we would not be here.
And people just want better. We want better for our lives and better for our communities, better for our families.
The vote is the way we get our voices heard. The vote is the way we put people into office that can directly impact our day-to-day lives. And this year is peculiar because of the national importance of it.
We vote to honor those who came before us and to protect those who will come after us.
In a democracy, the right to vote is the most powerful, non-violent tool we have. Many people marched and protested for the right to vote.
The African American voice could have a major say on the election outcome.
The same very hands that once picked cotton now pick presidents.
Okay, so wait, we were talking about Senate majority, right? We're gonna just miss it, but I'm sure we're gonna both talk about it on our shows. But Warnock, and Ossoff are gonna be sworn into office in about an hour and a half.
I'm so proud of them.
An hour and a half.
So exciting.
Warnock, Senator Warnock, actually was the Reverend, and he married my brother and his wife Maisha. So he was at the wedding and he presided over it, and he married. So I met him years ago, but yeah, like it's. I love seeing this. I mean, Ossoff has been working on this for a long time as well. Georgia. I mean, to be down 88,000 votes and then to come back and whoop them.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of the support that Warnock received was from the video, the super PAC that we just watched a video on. So the collective PAC, I should say. Sorry about that.
And we've had them on our show too, on FOXSOUL's Black Report, right, Brooke?
Yeah,
yeah, a few times I feel like. Yeah,
it's
awesome.
Great day.
Speaking of Kelly Loeffler, did you all see the news that she's now also going to lose control of the NBA team? They're selling the WNBA team. They're selling the team.
Wait, I didn't read that.
Yeah, they're in the process of selling the team.
I saw that. That was was fantastic.
It's not surprising.
What a way to spend your millions.
Yeah.
Like, I would be sitting down somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, it was crazy when her team, I know that we talked about it as well on our show, when her team didn't even support her. And, they went against her and got their shirts made and all that stuff, for their Georgia runoff. So it's just kind of like, it makes sense. Like,
Because
if your own team doesn't like you, it makes perfect sense.
She could have just stayed quiet. Instead, she was like reaching out to the higher ups at the WNBA to say she did not support the women protesting. And writing that public letter, and it was just like, what are you doing? You're their boss.
It just, for me, I felt like she didn't feel like, it's kind of like with Colin Kaepernick, right? He hasn't been back in football since he protests. And so I felt like she probably felt the same way, like, oh, they're just, this is just a little protest. Like, it won't harm me. And it actually did. And it's kind of like, you should support your team more. Like, you have a majority black team.
It seems like when I watched her in the debate, how she was so robotic, and that ridiculous porn star wig that is like, 30 inches?
The people in the comments are saying they love when you get on people's hair.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I'm going to get on her hair. And, that hooker wig that she wears, she just looks ridiculous. And then when she was in the debate, she was so robotic. There was no soul there. And
it's because she was being fed all the information in an IFB. Like what we've gotten and she was being fed her information, which is illegal, but I digress.
And I'm so glad that the WNBA team does not have to play for her, because imagine being a black woman and having to have her as your team owner and being part of the ownership. That had to be really difficult
draining to have to go to work. Like, when you go to work, especially a sport that you enjoyed, you probably been playing your entire life. When you go to work, you want to feel like your team, supports you as a black person.
Well, I'm sure that this is how every single player who played for Donald Sterling felt.
Absolutely.
Can I just say, because we're just watching them walk out now, and we saw Mitch McConnell and his wife Elaine. We saw them walk out there, trying to get out of there, and Chuck Schumer is leisurely walking out, buttoning his coat. Like, oh, so y'all feeling good?
They are not feeling the breeze right now.
Did you guys see the video earlier that Trump posted where he just made it?
No, he's irrelevant now. Okay, go ahead, Demi.
His final message. His final message where he was just kind of like, what, great success and good luck to everyone. We've set the bar. We've pretty much laid down the groundwork like never before. Like never before. Everything going forward is going to be so great because of what we did. Like, instead of just saying, great job, looking forward to whatever reality show I'm going to go for and do whatever, he made it seem like, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to have a great presidency because of the groundwork that he set.
Right. And he went off the script, which is funny because it was like, your final scripted message to the public as president. And he completely went off script. He was supposed to say their names. He didn't. Instead, he said, there's a new administration coming in. We wish them luck.
And then that awkward moment where he passed the mic to Melania, and
I can't right now.
He brought her in, and so he said, "Honey, would you like to say something?" And she kind of was just like, "God bless America," blah blah blah. And then afterwards, he came back on and was just like, what more else is there to say? It's like there is so much more that she could have said, and that you could have said, and that could have been done.
She has a less than basic command of the English language. Okay, they keep bragging about the 5-6 languages that she knows. I'm like, well, English is not one of them, okay? Bye, Melania. Bye, girl. Bye,
Alicia. Looks so caught off guard, like she does not want to speak, and then he constantly puts her on the spot, and
Absolutely.
She's like, let me just live out the rest of this contract and get these last few Birkin bags and go back to Slovenia, because it's going to be over soon.
That's a great point, Claudia. I definitely think that I definitely get those vibes that she's just like, listen, I did not want to speak, okay? I did not come here to speak.
Y'all, I'm not going to lie.
I don't like you. He doesn't like him. They had separate bedrooms. The last time they had sex with Barron was conceived, probably. I don't see it. They don't have a real relationship. And good riddance. And be gone.
Claudia, I'm not going to lie. If she comes out with a book after she files for divorce, I'm going to have to read it. I'm going to have to read it.
Well, Claudia, do you think that there's actually a real contract that she had, like that she made a number, like for the next 4 years, this is the amount of money that I want to get paid? Like, do you have any insight? Or I know you're always being funny, but like, do we know like if there's actually like a contract or anything that was in place for her marriage for the last 4 years?
Claudia,
there is words about there's talks of that, because remember she wouldn't leave New York for a long time.
That's because of his Barron's school.
No,
right?
That's a lie.
They don't care about Barron. They don't care about Barron's school. They never even talk about Barron. Barron is like probably Home Alone. He's Home Alone 4. Like he's loving it. Himself. They're never around him. They don't even speak about him. I think that they said that she was negotiating terms about that, because I had heard reports that there was a pending Trump-Melania divorce before he won office.
She totally renegotiated the hell out of her prenup, you know, in order for her to appear next to him and make it look like, you know, give the presentation that they are the happy couple and that everything is okay and she supports everything that he does. Because we all know that she was having relations with the security guard at Tiffany's, that was on the ground level of Trump Towers that she was living in.
What is this inside info that y'all have?
Yes. And then that's why it was so shady. Melissa, and that's why it was so shady the last inauguration when she presented Michelle Obama
with a Tiffany box. Yeah.
It was like a wink to her D. She's like,
can I say that? You know what? I mean, obviously, you all know stuff that I don't know, but I just don't get the vibe that this woman is unhappy. She's been caught too many times in full support of his rhetoric. We saw her friend and the person who was working for her secretly recorded her. She wore that jacket to the border. Even before he was running for president, she was a birther. I just don't, she doesn't seem as unhappy as I think people would like her to be. She seems right in step with him.
She looks lifeless. She looks lifeless every time you see her.
Anyone who's lived in LA, we've all known girls that have had sugar daddies, and they go in and out of their loyalty. Like, they gotta be nice, and then they behind the back they talk trash with their girls. Like, oh, let me go see Earl, or whatever. You know what I mean?
No, that's absolutely right, Claudia. I mean, that's a great way to bring it home back from us. Okay, so we're gonna actually take a look at what's going on. Inauguration.
Not Earl.
This
is the beginning.
I love Jill's coat. I mean, her whole outfit is everything.
Jill is good people. Nobody fall, please.
Wow. This is the beginning.
You know, tuck your stuff. Yep. Can we just clear the camera really quick? You can bring family across. Okay, yeah. Once they go, can we do that now? Can we come back a little bit? Are we getting? Yeah, because they're going to be going. No, I'm holding. We're holding. Guys, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Okay. We got a jam. All right, let's follow Sterling.
Oh, are we staying with you? Yeah.
Wow. And so what we actually just watched is called the Pass in Review of Armed Services. I actually just learned a little bit more about this myself. So it's where the president and the vice president, they stand on the east front of the Capitol building. And so it's a way that they review the military troops that are coming in. And it's typically before the inaugural day parade. But as you guys know, the inaugural day parade will be virtual this year. And so all of the armed services from all across the world typically attend. It's usually about 5,000 men and women in uniform. But of course, because of the coronavirus, it was scaled back. And then just a quick fact about the Pass in Review is that it started when George Washington took his oath in 1789. So that's how long this tradition has been going on. So it was really, really interesting. Yeah, actually.
Okay, Debbie with the history lesson.
You know what? You know what's so crazy? I had to text my dad real quick because he was in the military. He was a paratrooper for 26 years. And so he, served in Iraq and all that stuff. So I actually gave him a quick text and he was just like, boom, there you go. So
I was struck by so many things that just happened right now. First of all, a gentleman escorting a lady to the door, which is what President Biden just did with First Lady Biden, opening the door for her because we saw that Trump regularly would just be like, oh, she got it. She's fine. No problem.
She's on contract.
He'd carry his own umbrella. She'd be back there in the rain and whatnot. So I was struck by that. I was struck by, just thinking about Biden's 50 years in politics, and how many firsts he's seen. He's the first person to be elected vice president and now president of the United States. Looking at the number on the back of the license plate, number 46, and looking at how thick those doors are on the cars. Did you guys notice that?
I didn't notice.
The beast.
Yeah.
And Biden was saying something about that 12 years ago, he was being inaugurated as the vice president to the first ever black president. And here we are today. He's inaugurated as president to alongside the first ever black vice president.
So many firsts.
He's a part of both of those moments.
Yes. That has to mean a lot to him. That has to mean a lot to him.
Okay, it means a lot to me.
Yeah. It means a lot to us. Just imagine in your wildest dreams, what that means to be, honestly, from not even taking black aside for a second, to go from vice president to president just is such a, it would mean so much to me even and his family to go from that to this.
And
it's
the
such a big
reality of
moment.
the situation is that Joe Biden wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He wasn't born into politics or, wealth. He comes from a working class life in Pennsylvania.
He's from Delaware.
Or Delaware, my bad. That's
they're
what I
right
meant.
around there together, but yeah.
And so remember, he had some trouble financially with his house, and Barack Obama stepped in and helped him out. And there's a lot of senators that are very wealthy that have taken advantage of their office, and Joe Biden is definitely not one of them. And like I said, even the Republicans, the shadiest of Republicans, have said nothing but positive things about Joe Biden and his character. So it's just really nice to see the good guy win. It just feels like for the last 4 years, we've been seeing all these trash people getting elevated, getting cabinet positions. Betsy DeVos, who's a complete idiot, and being in charge of education. It was just such a parade of incompetence. And now to see people that are good people that deserve it, and then the team that he's already trying to put together and focusing on placing value on science. The fact that we're happy about things that should be, but the norms have totally changed. And it's just good to see someone that has come from humble beginnings elevate like this.
I just like how Black people have kept their foot. I think on our show at first, when I first got on the show, I think I was just kind of like, well, why are Black people just, our foot on Joe Biden's neck so much? And I forgot one of you were just kind of like,
we can't let up off the
exactly.
gas.
I'm like, keep it there.
Yes. Yeah. And so I totally, and I'm happy. I'm happy, and I can totally see, because at first I was just like, dang, y'all, like, we just not giving he just, got elected, and we just
don't get comfortable.
Right.
No. There is no time for anybody to get comfortable. He can't go home and chill. No, there is no chill right now.
Take a nap.
And we've seen in so many ways that he is already being pushed to the left, and then also in so many ways that he is standing his ground. So keep the foots there.
Yeah.
Keep the feet there. Did I say foots? Keep the feet there.
I agree, but I also feel like this is what happens with the Democratic Party tends to eat its own. And yes, we should keep him, hold him accountable, but we had no accountability the last 4 years, and let's not hold him a ridiculously impossible standard that no one bothered to do with Donald Trump. We let him get away with so much stuff. So at the same time, hold him accountable, but let's also give him some room to get it together.
That's what I was saying, Claudia.
You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some kind of I feel like before Biden got in office, there's a tendency of the Democratic Party, like I said, we often eat our own, and we hold ourselves to like a much higher standard. The Republicans are just like, all right, whatever. It's just boy talk, men being men. When the Access Hollywood tape came out, it was just like, no big deal. Yeah. And with us, we have a purity test like no other. So let this man do his job, and he's not perfect, but let him do his job, and while still holding him accountable. We have to find that balance, that middle ground, I think.
Claudia, I'm so glad you said that, because that is exactly what I was saying. It's kind of like, I just didn't want it to be like us going so hard on Joe Biden, but then we think back and Black people are like, we didn't even go that hard. We didn't even hold Barack Obama, and dare we say anything negative about Barack Obama, right? But we also did not go, we didn't keep our foot this much on Barack Obama's neck, and we probably should have.
Well,
so that's what I was saying.
There was so much to be done when Barack Obama was
but
elected.
we were happy to be here. We were happy to have a Black person. So,
and he didn't have the power either. So, there was only so much you could do, because once the Republicans took over, they stopped every single thing he tried to do. There was only so much he could do. Now we have the power, and it's not guaranteed in 2 years. And so I just don't want the bar to be so low that we don't get anything. Yeah. We just get not having Trump again.
Demi, what are our soulmates
saying? That can't be, our politics, right?
Yeah, Demi, check in with our soulmates. What are they saying?
I'm actually checking right now. The chat is great. So just taking a look at what we're talking about. Kim Johnson says, yes, VP Kamala Harris, you have your well-deserved moment. And that is absolutely right. And so Rockwell's, they're actually talking about us. She said, I love all these ladies. This channel is beautiful with many different souls and a great conversation happening. Keep it up, everyone, and have a blessed day. I actually wanted to read that because that's very important. We have a couple of first-time soulmates checking in. Johnny Wilson says, this is my first time watching your show. I'm enjoying it so far, and they will definitely be back. Now, one more. Mary Jane says, Black women stand up. Okay. James Andrew says, I'm crying. Jim says, I am all the way in the UK watching FOXSOUL all the way from the UK, as well as crying. So Carrier says, this is so special. D. Simone says, I'm screaming with excitement. Awesome. Like, come on, Kalama. CNN. You know what?
You're excited, Demi.
I'm excited.
You're
I'm excited because you know I know how to say Sora Kamala. Sora Kamala. So it seems like everybody in the chat is just really excited for this historic and legendary moment. And soulmates, keep on commenting because I'm reading your comments, and I will definitely get you a shout out throughout the show for sure.
Absolutely.
Aren't you guys also excited to not have a president that needs to be front and center and be the trending topic every day? Like, I want to go back to talking about other things where Trump doesn't just dominate every conversation that we have. Like, we can just kind of like relax a little bit. Like, I felt like we had this anxiety for 4 years. Every morning, the first thing I do, I would turn on CNN or MSNBC, but like, and sometimes Fox is.
I was wearing my I was wearing my shoulders as earrings,
like
Claudia.
A sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
No, it definitely was that fear of like, okay, what is he gonna say? I mean, even honestly, up until yesterday, right? We still had that anxiety of like, what is Trump gonna say? What is he gonna do? Like, is he gonna pardon himself? Like, there's just really like so much anxiety, and I just feel like this calmness that, you know, when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, when they both speak, that we know it's going to be factual, actual, something important, you know, something you know, that we need to hear versus something silly that's gonna be a meme and, you know, be a trending topic on Twitter. So.
Can you imagine how much he wanted to be live tweeting that inauguration?
I'm so glad that they took the power away from him and his tiny thumbs.
How mad do you think he was when his Twitter? I think he was more mad about losing his Twitter than losing the election, because like that validates him, and he needs that validation all day long. But
that's why he went into hiding for like practically a week and wouldn't do anything except eat McDonald's and maybe do some golfing. They had to put papers under his nose, like, "Hey, you know, it's almost that time that you got to go. Pardons. What are we doing?" And he was like,
And then we just saw more lies after that. The idea that because his Twitter was gone, he could no longer speak to the public. We had one of his staff on CNN live saying Trump doesn't have a voice anymore. And it's like, what are you? What is going on? He can talk to the press.
Exactly.
He can send out a release.
Listen.
What are you, and what is the new congresswoman? She's from Georgia, and she had on a mask that said censored while she was speaking on the House floor. What are you talking about?
I forgot her name.
I don't know
that lady that wanted to carry the gun into the Senate, I believe. That was
the other one, Boebert. This
Lauren
one
Boebert,
is oh my goodness, and I'm missing her name. That's okay. She's blonde from Georgia.
I think Demi just said Lauren Boebler.
No, she's from Colorado.
Okay,
That's the one
that
gun.
wants to have a gun in the Capitol.
Yeah, I can't think of her name. I'm missing it. I'm like, soulmates, help me out.
Well, hopefully,
spoiled and entitled. Let's just call her that for now.
That's what we're going.
Let's just call her that.
But Brooke, that was a great point that you said. Like, we talked about that on our show. Like, I don't know why anyone would think that he was censored, or that just because his Twitter was taken away, that it's like like he literally could go in his backyard. He could go from his kitchen. He could go in his kitchen and ask CBS News or ESPN or whatever to, do a live video and say whatever he wanted to say.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's the congresswoman I was thinking of.
Yes, awesome. Well, I am very excited, because this is the time of the show where we have two of my amazing, beautiful, and successful sorors of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated to join us here on FOXSOUL's Black Report. Joining us right now is, and you better say the Dr. Wendy Osefa, okay? Because, or if not, it would be a problem, as well as Star Jones to talk sororities, sisterhood, politics, and so much more. Welcome, sorors.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello,
How are you?
How are you? I feel like I introduced you at a chapter meeting or something. I'm sorry, but I'm just so excited to have both of you here. This is just such a big deal. I have my pink and green on. I wore my pearls because I was just like, this is a moment.
Yes, absolutely. I'm rocking my pink and green pin, and my pearls are on display. Of course.
My gosh,
I have the pink pearls on as usual, and the pink and green. We just are in the middle of an inauguration watch party, so. We've been having a great time.
There you go.
This is beautiful. I mean, I love it. I'm just so happy. So what an honor to have both of you guys, ladies, here today. Now, I have the honor to speak to both of you. I thought it was going to be separate, but this is even better that we're all here, members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the first and the finest. I already told my co-host ladies that I was going to overdo it today because, I told them it was just going to be real AKA today. So they're ready. Okay. So,
as you should. You're never going to out AKA me, baby, because look. Let me show you. I brought the pump. That's right, soror. Come on.
Yes.
I have the pink and green chucks. Okay,
it's never
so
too much.
you won't get to outdo the AKA today. Not
exactly.
Today.
The other day I came in on J15. I had my pink and green earrings. Melissa got me some pink and green earrings that said "Clutch Your Pearls." I had my pink shirt, my green suit. I had my AKA socks on. Like I was all AKA'd out. So now moving forward, because I don't want to get too deep into it, because we'll just sit there and talk about AKA all day. Let me ask you guys first. Did you guys have any emotional? Because it was emotional for me. Like I know on Twitter, a lot of like other sources were like, we are not going to let people forget that we have a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha in the White House. What kind of emotional moment did you ladies have when you saw our Vice President Kamala Harris being sworn in?
It's so interesting because I told myself I was not going to get emotional. I looked at this day as a day of, the Trump presidency ending and thus restoring our democracy. But when I tell you, when she walked out those doors, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I, at that moment, became just a brown girl seeing a brown woman break history. And I am the mother of 3 children, and 2 of my children are boys, but I have an 18-month-old daughter. And at that moment, when I held her, I cried tears of joy, because it's not just symbolic for me, it's symbolic for my daughter that someone who looks like you can achieve. And all I heard was not just ski-weeing, but I heard shatters of glass breaking, because at that moment, Soror Kamala Harris broke glass, and it was captured for millions to see, not just here, but across the world.
I could not agree more. It wasn't just emotional for me. It was very cathartic, because as most people know, I have been Team Kamala from day one. If you came to know the vice president over the past year, you kind of late, because I've actually known her for 30 years since she pledged. We were in Washington, D.C. She was at Alpha Chapter. I was at Lambda Zeta Chapter. I was a big sister at that time. Actually, she pledged under the program that I wrote as a Second Supreme Anti-Basilisk. So we go way, 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 way back. We go back also to, we both began our careers as prosecutors. And so oftentimes MVP and I would be the only one in the room when we would go to a district attorney's conference or meeting or bar association that was focused on being public prosecutors. And, Black women, we look across the room, we see another one. We already sisters. We fixing each other's hair in the bathroom when there's a break in the conference, because that's just how we do. We've had so many conversations over the years about why we became public prosecutors, and in her voice, in her heart, she has always been Kamala Harris for the people. Really, what you see is what you get. There's nothing fake about her. There is nothing that's a put on. She takes so very seriously her commitment to America. And I love vouching for her, because when you know somebody that well, you do have the ability to vouch for them. So when I watched her take that oath of office, I exhaled, because she was standing in the space God had created for her. And I know little Black and brown girls will never be the same again because of it.
That is so beautiful. And I was actually reading a tweet, because you do not play when it comes to Soror Kamala. We're just going to be first name basis right now, just because we're having this moment. It was a tweet where you said, when you refer to Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, please use her full name and title. She is not Kamala. She is Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. She says, I've never heard anyone call VP Prince Mike in 4 years. So I like how you were like, let's not play around and just give her shortcut. We're going to give her her full title.
Right.
Some respect on her name.
We're going, because the vice president is just not the kind of person that'll just check you, because she's too busy. But I'm never going to be too busy, okay? I'm never going to be too busy to check somebody if they are disrespecting her. And let me be real clear, I'm not the only one. All sisters all around the world will check you with a quickness, because she deserves that level of respect. I saw this poster with 48 white men on it and 1 Black woman. That's because she's the 49th vice president of these United States. Do you know that there have been 1,984 individuals who have served in the Senate since 1789? She was only the 2nd Black woman, okay? Wow. Out of nearly 2,000 men who had served, men and women who had served in the Senate. She blazes trails everywhere she goes. I could not be more proud to watch her take that oath of office, because I know she means it. I know she means it. I know that Joe Biden has a true partner in every decision that he makes. And that's what he said he wanted. Because President Biden, he's hitting the ground running. They have a myriad of issues that they're going to have to deal with. And to see him embrace her intelligence, her history, and make it a part of his administration, I'm so confident that we're in the right hands right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what, Sora Star, it's so great to hear that personal moment that you can like tell us about and speak to Sora Kamala as just a human. We were talking earlier, Melissa was just saying about humanizing Sora Kamala. So it's really great to hear those stories about like how she is as a person and how she is with her friends and of course like other Soras and stuff like that. So this moment is absolutely historic for not just, you know, members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. It's big for HBCUs, other fraternities and sororities, because the entire Divine Nine has come together and do voter registration drives, etc. Can both of you speak to why Alpha Kappa Alpha was the sorority for you? Like, I could go on all day. I know we don't have a lot of time, but Sora Winnie, can you first tell us like what was it about Alpha Kappa Alpha that was just kind of like, this is my sorority, I need to be a part of this?
Absolutely. Well, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Delta Mu Chapter, Temple University. Yes. I am a proud member. I was the former basilisk. For those who don't know, that is the president of my chapter. And for me, it was only Alpha Kappa Alpha. There was no other option, because when you see an Alpha Kappa Alpha woman walk into a room, you don't have to question what sorority she's a part of. It speaks for itself. Not only are we the first, we are the finest. And that is a testament to all of what we do and all of what we continue to do. I said to myself, if I was going to join a sorority, I wanted to be a part of women who are trailblazers. I want to be a part of women who, when I have children myself, I can look to these women as role models. I want to be a part of a sorority as a Nigerian, as an immigrant, that exemplifies what it means to be a Black woman in this country and what it means to continue to blaze trails and go above and beyond hurdles when that time comes. And that's what Alpha Kappa Alpha is. And let me be very clear. Yes, Soror Kamala Harris is an Alpha Kappa Alpha woman, but let us not think for a second that she is not deserving of everything that she has received. And that to me is a testament of what Alpha Kappa Alpha woman is. It's someone who is not out there looking for a handout, but who knows what they want and they go out there and achieve it. So I am proud to be a member of the first and the finest sorority. My daughter does not have an option when it comes to that. Let us be very clear. Yeah. She does not have an option. And I will love to just salute and commend every soror who has come before me, who has been there, even Soror Star Jones, who has come before me, because it is women like that that set examples that make it so our sorority continues to be the best till this day.
Absolutely. Soror Star Jones, can you actually comment on that as well about Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated?
Oh, absolutely. I can say without any hesitation that being a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is really what gave me my Star Jones persona for all practical purposes. I pledged AKA at 17 years old in the second semester of my freshman year. So clearly I knew which way to go from day one. I'm one of those kinds of people. And I became basilisk while still a teenager. And then I became second Supreme Anti-Basilisk, which is the highest ranking undergraduate in Alpha Kappa Alpha. I served under the great Sora Faye B. Bryant, our former Supreme Basilisk. That was the first time I had the opportunity to serve on a board of directors. And Sora Faye and Sora Frederica Wilson, who is also a member of the United States Congress, they raised me for all practical purposes. When we would travel on behalf of Alpha Kappa Alpha, I'd often be roommates with one of the regional directors. And these women, they taught me about poise. They taught me about protocol. They taught me how to speak in front of a crowd. For the first time I ever spoke in front of more than 1,000 people was for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. They taught me how to apply makeup. They taught me how to make sure my hands and my hair and my skin always looked on point. I actually was raised by the women of Alpha Kappa Alpha in connection. And now, mind you, my late mother is a Delta. And my late mother said, I can't believe that you're going to play the AKA. But she said, but you are such an AKA. Even my mother knew that I was an AKA. And I just, when I think about what it has meant, I can tell you the first time I ever met former President Bill Clinton was as Second Supreme Antibassadors. Faye B. Bryant sat me next to him at the public meeting as Second Supreme Antibassadors. And do you know that President Clinton and Secretary Clinton and I are still friends to this day?
Wow.
Those are the kinds of things that being a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha opened as doors for me. But I just want to point this out. Everyone knows that the Vice President Kamala Harris is the first Black and South Asian woman to be elected Vice President of the United States. However, we in the Black community, we know that our MVP is the first HBCU graduate.
Yes.
We know
That's right.
that she is the first member of the Divine Nine, Alpha Kappa Alpha. We know she is the first member of a Black Women's Social Service Club. She's a member of the Links. We know that she's the first member of a Black professional organization, the National Bar Association. So what I'm telling you is she brings all of Black excellence to the table. Every part of who she is indicative of the village that Black America has born of itself and brings to the table as excellence. That's the embodiment of what we watched on that Capitol steps today.
Star, I so appreciate you saying that about Vice President Kamala Harris. I get so tired of the critics trying to water down her Blackness and to say, but this, but that, but this, and to hear personal friends and members and sorors of her say this and emphasize the Blackness that she does have. I really, if I could just say anything to our people, is to please stop trying to diminish her level of Blackness. This is a Black woman. She is one of us, and she is for us, and she has more than proven herself. So please stop raising the bar on her. She's done it herself. Her bar is raised. It is said. She is breaking these glass ceilings, and I don't want to hear any. I'm joining you, and I'm very quick on the clapbacks on Twitter and Instagram. We will forever have her back on social media. You trolls will not try it with Miss Kamala Harris. So I just want to ask you both, and Wendy, thank you so much for being here. You both look extremely beautiful, snatched, poised, intelligent. Love it. I'm here for it. Black women have really taken charge in politics, from organizations like Higher Heights and I Empower Rising, Stacey Abrams, and so many others. So proud of her. As Black women, how does that make you feel to see this?
I mean, it's something that we all know, right? Like, even if we look within our own families, it's often Black women who are the backbones of our family. It's often Black women who bring the family together, who hold the family together. So what we see with, Stacey Abrams, what we are seeing with Kamala Harris, what we have seen with Michelle Obama. Let's not even forget when Michelle Obama moved into the White House, her mother was there holding down that family. It is the consistent cycle of Black women being leaders, being behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, who continue to propel us forward. But what I would like to say is it's high time for Black women to get their roses while they can smell them. It is high time for us not to just applaud Black women, but invest in Black women. It is high time for Black women to stop trying to save this country, but for this country to now look at Black women and say, now what can we do for you? Because I am tired, and I know my sisters are tired, because if we look at what happened in Georgia, that didn't happen in a silo. That happened with Stacey Abrams and all of the work she put on the ground to get that done. So what I'm saying is that Black women, without a question, not only hold down their families, not only hold down the Democratic Party, not only hold down this country. Now, as we enter 2021, what is this country going to do in return for Black women? What are we going to do to make sure that when we look at the mortality rate for Black women, it's not higher than their white counterparts? Why is it that Black women put out the most energy, put out the most of everything, but always get the shortest end of the stick? So if anything, let's have that conversation about how are we now going to repay Black women for the debt that they have given to this country time and time again.
Wendy, you are so 100% right with that, doctor. I just want to and give you your props right there. But it's a fact that the road to the White House is powered by Black women. And Black women, again, were key to the Democratic victory in 2020. I was on the National Finance Committee of Biden-Harris. So Black women were not only the most loyal voters in the party, we're key to actually igniting Black voters across all demographics to show up in record numbers. There has not been a Democratic presidential nominee in 40 years that won the White House without Black women's leadership and our vote. And that includes President Barack Obama, President Bill Clinton, and President Jimmy Carter. And we did it again in 2020. Let me share with you that I recognize the need to see Black and brown women at every table of influence. And so I created the Brown Girls Fundraising Collective. It was designed to put money where our mouths are, because everybody knows us to be the backbone of the party, the ones that work, the ones that get out the vote, the ones that man the voting booths, but they didn't respect us as the ones that can raise money, the ones that can sit at that table of influence. So I firmly believe that we needed to show up for Kamala Harris in a very significant way so that we could play at the same table. Otherwise, we would end up on the menu, if you know what I mean. So I wanted to show that we could put our financial means together, not as a pack, as a collective, to show that we are a village. And boy, did we do it. $3 million in events that I co-hosted or co-chaired on behalf of the Brown Girls Fundraising Collective. And $500,000 is what we contributed to the Biden-Harris presidential campaign from over 2,700 individual contributors that range from $5 to $130,000 and everything in between. I wanted to show the world that Black and brown women can sit at any table and command attention, not demand attention, command attention. And we made history this time in support of the Vice President of the United States.
Wendy and Star, I'm sitting here as a spectator watching this interview. Like, I'm just, first of all, you two look fantastic, and I've gotten such an incredible history lesson on AKAs. I'm from Canada. I didn't know anything about sororities or fraternities when I first came to America, so I've learned more in the last maybe 10 minutes than I've known in my entire life watching A Different World or whatnot. And you two are just the personification of like beautiful Black women. You're spirited, you're intelligent, you're eloquent, and you're fiery, you know, and that's what we're looking for in potential politicians. So I'm sitting here wondering, because you two just do what you do so effortlessly, do either one of you have any plans of going into politics yourself?
Not at all. I'll answer that real quick. Not at all.
Okay.
You know, never say never. That's my answer.
I can 100% say never. No, not interested. I'm interested in raising the money and making sure that we have a say-so. And to be honest with you, there's a whole lot of sisters that do that much better than I do. Let me do the talking and let me do the protecting.
I hear that.
Let me be the advocate.
All right, Sora Star. So when I'm ready, I'm gonna call you.
That's what you
I'm gonna call you for some money.
Yeah. You call for the money and the advice, and then I got you. Okay.
I got you. Okay. Thank you, Soror.
So Wendy, that's what's next in politics for you, huh? Never say never. You're not telling us yet.
Never say never.
Never say never.
I just say that never say never, because I don't want to say no, and then who knows, when my kids are off to college, I'm like, why don't I just run for something? So never say never.
I have a question for both of you, because I think you're the perfect people to ask this question, because millions of people across the country have watched your commentary. So there's a tweet going around right now, and I haven't confirmed it, but it is from it's from a major city newspaper saying Kamala was wearing purple as a nod to her Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. We know that that's not true, but it also likely tells the story that there weren't any Black people around when that tweet was written. And so I'm curious to you, can you talk about the importance of hiring immediately more Black people in media all across the board when it comes to covering this new administration?
That is so hilarious that people would I guess if you mix pink, green, blue, and red, maybe you will get purple.
Right,
okay?
I was thinking that too, yeah.
So I'm going to try to find, you know me, I'm Pollyannish. I'm going to try to find some goodness in that ignorant tweet, and that is that maybe you're talking about a nod to all of the fraternities and sororities if you throw all the colors in the same pot. I don't know. But just when you talk about having someone at the table of influence, it's absolutely imperative that you have people of different backgrounds and experiences. That's what true diversity and inclusion is. But I always add an additional word to D&I, and that's an E, and equity. It has to be diversity, equity, and inclusion. So that we actually, when you get a seat at the table or you get a fancy title, there's actually some juice behind that. Can you write a check? Can you sign a contract? Can you make a decision where you bring other people in and then they get to write checks and sign contracts? That's real influence. And so those are the seats that at the table that we are working really hard to make sure that they're Black and brown women that sit in all the time. You need to make sure there's some brown girls on your communications team. And I'm so proud that our MVP has a team filled with Black and brown girls all around her. You need to make sure when you have policy discussions in your ear over here, that there are some people who have a different religious background, a different sexual orientation, who've made different choices in their life, so that you don't leave them out of the conversation. That's true diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in order for the country to move forward, you're going to need all three of those things.
Sorry, Wendy, did you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I find that tweet to be, laughable. It reminds me of the tweet that happened earlier when she was running for president, and they said, there is this noise that is happening.
They called it a screech.
And no one knew that it was like, her sorors were skiing. And so there is this constant need for diversity in the room. But as Sora Star was saying, I always push back on diversity, because for me, diversity is almost a tokenization of someone. For you to be able to say, we have this many people in the room that look like this. It's not about how many people you have in the room. It's about how many people in that room that are different, that are allowed to make decisions. Because if you just have me in the room and I can't make a decision and I don't have the power to speak or to implement change, then it's null and void. So exactly as Sora Star was saying, we have to have equity in those rooms. We have to have people who can say, actually, no, the colors for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated are pink and green. We have to be able to have those conversations, because you will end up doing a tweet that just makes your organization look laughable. So I hope that with this administration, they not only encourage people to think deeper about the ways in which they cover the administration, because there's going to be a lot of things coming out that people may not know. Like we don't know what Thanksgiving is going to look like. Who knows what auntie is going to come in? We need someone to cover this administration the right way. So I think it's incumbent upon all organizations to get it right and get it right the first time.
You guys, I was trying to Google real quick to see if purple actually comes out, and purple doesn't come from pink and green.
It's red and blue.
Yeah.
You actually tried to
So
look
maybe
it
it's
up.
the red and the blue.
I'm sorry.
Democrats,
I
Republicans.
had to look because I'm like, it doesn't. So I don't know. And then you know what? Actually, when I saw the purple, her purple outfit, the first thing I said was like, I mean, it would have been better if it was pink, but I feel like that would have also been just like, you know, overkill. It's kind of like the world gets it. She's an AKA. But you know, Sora Wendy, thank you for shouting out your chapter, and Star Jones, thank you for shouting out your chapter and where you come from. And I just want to shout out Beta Chapter Fall 11 just really quickly. Is my chapter from Chicago. But before we wrap up here, because if you know, Kamala Harris being an AKA and being sworn in today was not enough, this absolutely made my entire day. But on the way out, Star Jones, can you just tell us one inspiring story about Vice President Kamala Harris before we go? Just one inspiring story to just end this off for us.
Well, I can share with you that on the day Vice President elect, on the day that President-elect Biden was going to announce who his choice was, looking back, way back then in August, I woke up at about 6 o'clock in the morning, straight out of bed, and I felt the spirit of my ancestors hit me. And she'll tell the story. I immediately called our now Vice President, and I left a prayer on her voicemail. We talked later that evening, and I said, I told you, I knew. I could feel the energy of the women who had come before wake me up and say, get up, there's work to do. Kamala Harris is the kind of woman who, in the middle of a presidential campaign, she'd call to just say, hey, I know your husband had to leave you on Long Island to get back to Chicago. You okay? I said, don't you have something that you're supposed to be doing? She said, but I know that you could get lonely, and I just wanted to shout you out. And then we start talking about what we're cooking that night. She thinks she cooks the best roast chicken in the world. She actually does a great job, but that's her thing. She's just that girl. She is a woman, a wife, a sister. But today has just been emotional for me because I've been thinking of the inauguration watch party that's going on in heaven today. Sister Sojourner, Sister Harriet, they're sitting in the front rows of honor. Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman. And then you got Miss Fannie Lou Hamer and Miss Rosa Parks and Miss Coretta and Miss Betty Shabazz, and they're telling stories of the movement. And you can just see them reach back and see somebody from another generation and say, yeah, you remember. And my own grandmother and mother reminiscing about the time my mom got arrested at the lunch counter in North Carolina during the movement. And then there's Breonna Taylor and Sandra Bland and Natasha McKenna, and they're crying soft tears on the final possibility that justice has come for Black and brown women. And then they're joined by the presence of our Vice President's mother, Shamala, who is looking down with pride on her brown baby girl in that bad purple outfit. And she's telling her once again in her ear, as she takes that office, that oath of office, you may be the first, but make sure you're not the last. This is not just history that happened today, ladies. It's her story, okay? Her story. And little Black and brown girls will never be the same again because they will now officially be able to say, my VP looks like me.
Wow. Star Jones. So I mean, literally, I had to like hold back tears because I got really emotional with that. But just switching gears on the way out the door, Brooke and I of FOXSOUL's Black Report, we are very big Real Housewives of Potomac fans. Sorry, Brooke, for bringing you.
We can quote entire episodes.
We can quote.
It's fine.
When I say Brooke and I, we're trying to get Melissa on the train, get her caught up to speed, but we could not have you on the show without asking you, Sora Wendy. Can we see you on the next season? Can you confirm that for us? Let us know. Like, we're on the edge of our seat here.
I will see y'all next season.
All right. Well, like I said, this has absolutely made my day. When this is over, I'm probably going to shed a tear because I don't know. I can feel them coming. So I'm going to wrap this up and tell you, Sora Star Jones, as well as Sora Dr. Wendy Osup. We cannot forget the doctor because we know
5 degrees.
Okay, 5 degrees.
Okay,
you're so funny.
Thank you. No, we absolutely love you, and just thank you, ladies, so much for joining us, and keep representing our sorority Alpha. Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated with so much grace and poise and dignity. And, it's an honor to be a part of such an illustrious sorority. To be able to call you Soras means a lot to me as well. So this was absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And you guys are welcome back anytime on FOXSOUL's Black Report.
Thank you.
On the way out the door, just because. That was great.
It was so nice to have them both. Yeah. So powerful.
You guys, I literally want to cry a little bit. Like, I'm going to hold back because, lashes and stuff, but that just was everything.
And we keep saying
they got to speak on Kamala's blackness.
Yes.
I'm looking in the chat and I see people, the chatter about Kamala Harris and whether or not she's a Black woman it's enough already.
Claudia, you have to defend that, yourself a lot because, you're biracial and you have been accused because, you could be very militant, you know what I mean? And people accuse you of not being quote unquote Black enough because you have a white parent. So I know that just because we've had these same kind of conversations, I know that you kind of have a personal kind of feeling about that.
I do. It's almost, it's like this. I expect racism and you can't sit with us attitude to come from white people that are racist. I expect that. That doesn't hurt my feelings anymore. I'm like, oh, well, you're lost. But when it comes from our own, it's extremely painful. It really is. And it's like, what more do I have to do to show my love, my commitment, my dedication, my pride of being Black? My mother's an immigrant from the southern part of Italy, where they got a little Black in them as well. Let me just say that, go back and read the history about the Moors. And I talk to my mom this all the time. And it's just like, they were discriminated. The Northern Italians were racist against the Southern Italians, the lighter skin, the darker skin. And then I come, you know what I mean? It's like, when does it stop? These purity tests that we have is just, it's the white supremacists sit back and they laugh and they look at them. Look at them. They don't divide themselves over, oh, you're part Polish, you're not this. They don't do that. We do that. And to diminish this woman and say, yeah, but, and she's not this enough or she's not that enough. Can we just stop and just drink in this moment and claim her as our own because she is.
You know what? I didn't know you're still going. I'm sorry, Claudia. But you know what I've been really dying to know? Because like you said, Claudia, we have claimed her as our own. We've claimed her as a Black woman. But I wonder about her others, like, how do they feel? Like, we have, of course, this is a Black report, so we haven't really talked much about
the South Asian part of her?
The South Asian part of her. Like, I'm just curious to know, like, do they feel like, are they as overjoyed and excited about having a South Asian person in office as we are about having a Black person in office? I've just been curious.
I think so. My Asian friends are pumped about this.
Yeah,
and I think they also would be just as pumped just to see anybody, any member of any marginalized community, just like we would. It is... It's like, finally,
Melissa, I wanted to ask you another question, because I didn't know that, Claudia, I didn't know that you were biracial, but Melissa, you talked very small about, biracial on our show. But, like, what would happen? Because I feel like you've embraced, the Black, I feel like I look at you as a Black woman. I would have never known. What would it have been like if you would have not embraced that, Black girl side, and you would have, just decided to be like, your other side?
I mean, well, Claudia,
that's not a disrespectful question. I'm just curious.
No, it's not. No. I mean, I think that Claudia will be able to, pick up where I finish off. But it's like, when you're half Black and you're half white, it's like, what does that feel like? I feel like a human being, you know what I mean? Like, we're not riding a fence, you know what I mean? And whenever people ask us to define ourselves, like, well, which one do you identify with more? It's like, I woke up every day and saw this white woman in my kitchen. That was the woman that gave birth to me. So it's like, we can't choose which one we feel more like. We are, at the end of the day, we're just a human being. We can identify with certain things, and I think Claudia will feel me on that, where we can understand perspectives a little bit more broadly because of the fact that we grew up in a diverse household,
That's deep, Melissa. That's really deep.
But the reality of the situation is that the same thing Claudia gets, I get, when I've done a photo shoot and my inspiration was Angela Davis and, Kathleen Cleaver and James Baldwin and, all of my ancestors beforehand, that's when people want to remind me, oh, but you're half white. And I'm just like, what the hell does that have to do with the price of rice in China, though? I don't get it. I just don't get it.
And Melissa, we've had conversations about this, and here's what I don't like. This is what Black America does to its own. And I don't like to speak negatively about us, but we have got to stop doing this. We make it where we penalize biracial kids if they do shout out their white side, that we penalize them for that. So then you see Black kids that are mixed, I even hate using the term, being extra pro-Black and militant to prove that we belong. Because God forbid I say anything about my Italian mother, then I'm instantly demonized that I don't want to be Black. And it's just like, what, I feel like Tyrese, what more do you want from me? And it's just like, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. It's like, on the one hand, it's like, you're not Black enough, you can't sit with us. Then it's like, well, if you claim your mom, then you want to be white. And I'm like, I don't know what the right answer is. All I know is that I've felt that I've always wanted to champion Black causes. I feel like the Italians are not oppressed in America, so I feel like they're gonna be okay. Right. I feel like my help and my energy is needed more to defend the part of me that is marginalized, which is the Black side. Right. And I feel Black. Yeah. I got an Italian mother that don't even really cook all that good. I got gypped in the process. So,
Claudia, you are a mess. But I really feel like that conversation was needed. And thank you guys for being so, transparent, because I've always been curious to know, I'm 100% Black. So for me, I just have always been curious to know, how can you make that decision, as well as for Kamala Harris, what her, Southeast Asian side, are they just as excited as we are? So I've always been curious. So thank you, ladies, for diving in that.
Yeah, my mom's part Russian, and so the U.S. doesn't really have the greatest. I don't know what we have with Russia right now, but it's just I don't know. It's you don't really want to argue what your identity is, just because you are a champion for something. I used to tour the country talking to kids in high schools and colleges about AIDS awareness and prevention. And people wondered why I was so impassioned by the cause. Did I have anybody who was close to me that passed away? And I was like, why do you have to directly identify with a cause to be impassioned by it and want to fight for it? And that's really just the bottom line, is whether we're Black, brown, purple, green, whatever the case is we have entered the fight. We want to be a part of it. We want to be the change that we envision.
Yeah.
That's
beautiful.
And at 13%, we can't afford to keep pushing people out that are down. You know what I mean? We are with y'all. We are you. Stop pushing us away and we don't need your help. No, we are with it. Myself, Melissa Ford, Barack Obama. Come on now.
Kamala Harris, everybody.
Kamala Harris. We good. We're not on that Stacey Dash bullshit. We're not.
Well, that was. I just was curious, so I'm just really glad that
I was wondering which one of us was going to curse first, Claudia.
Oh yeah,
Well, Claudia's been throwing little tiny, curse words. Just
this like her 8th time.
Yeah, little ones. Yeah. You know what? As the Stacey Abrams of FOXSOUL, you can get away with certain things on the inauguration special.
Thank you. With that being said, we want to thank all of our soulmates today for watching the FOXSOUL inauguration coverage. Ladies, let's do some closing remarks. Brooke, Melissa, Demi, we're going to keep it short because we're running out of time.
Yes.
But please, closing remarks.
Okay, Brooke, go ahead.
Oh, this was just really powerful to watch. We were talking about, how we move through this world, and we all have different experiences, right? I'm a dark-skinned woman in America, and that's a fascinating childhood. And this was powerful for me to see a Black woman. She's now our vice president. I think, just like all of you, emotional, completely.
Yes.
And this was a powerful moment.
Yes, it was. Final remarks from me. We won a major battle. We still have to win the war. So don't get comfortable, everybody. Keep on keeping on. Stay galvanized. Stay energetic. Stay engaged. Okay? That's
Final remarks for me. We have an AKA in the White House, and don't ever forget it. Skiwi, my soror, Skiwi.
Final remarks. Listen, this is just the beginning. And like Melissa said, to piggyback, do not get lazy. This is just the tip. And there's more to come after that. So let's keep the pressure and keep applying that pressure and keep our foot on their neck. We've got governors to elect and senators, and we have more elections to go. Do not get comfortable like we did with Barack Obama. Like I said, this is just the tip.
Just the tip.
Oh my God, before we go, we want to leave you with one of the oldest civil rights organizations. Oh my goodness. Thank you for joining us. Get involved. We're going to see, Claudia, thank you for being you.
Yes, Claudia.
We're going to see you
Claudia.
live at 4 p.m. on FOXSOUL's Black Report.
Yes.
I can't catch my breath.
Just the tip. I love it. I love it.
You guys.
I love it.